The TED Talk that I chose to watch was Jen Rader talk about the opioid crisis and how she's dealing with it in Huntington, West Virginia. I chose to watch this video because I myself am from West Virginia and I've seen the impact that like opioids have had on all communities. I'm from a similar size city in southern West Virginia, so very similar as Huntington, but we don't have the resources or any of the programs that you talked about. And I honestly had no idea that what they were doing in regards to it because I've seen it and I know it seems hopeless at this point to a lot of people, especially first responders and people who deal with it like day in and day out. I don't know what I expected from the video. I was just kind of intrigued and wanted to see what she had to say about it. I figured that it would be a very interesting perspective since she is a woman leading a group of males in a very male-dominated industry. So I thought that her take might provide something that I hadn't thought about before. Even though I am a woman myself, I don't have any experience dealing with it. I've just seen it, how the impacts that it has. So my key takeaways that I wasn't expecting was I didn't expect all of her programs to actually like have shown results, because I thought they seemed kind of like peachy, like really like la-di-da. But the fact that she was able to like translate her compassion for her first responders into compassion for these people who are dealing with addiction, I think that was really admirable. The fact that she recognized, hey, there's a problem and the way we're dealing with this problem isn't working and we need to change that. So I thought that showed like really solid leadership on her part because it takes a lot for someone to be like, hey, I know that this is a problem and I know we have like protocol to deal with the problem, but it's not working and we need to change it. So I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was really kind of crazy how she took such a different approach because usually people just send people who've overdosed to the hospital and they're like, but that doesn't help them in the future. And I can understand how that would take a toll on someone who treats it so frequently. And I think that her leadership and ability to like implement these programs that she talked about was really interesting. And I really hope that it kind of like trickles down into the rest of the country. And I'm glad that it got its start in West Virginia. I would love nothing more than to see some of her ideas take hold in some of the other cities, because it is a place that I hold so near and dear to my heart. And I think that if that could happen, I think that would be awesome. And I think that her next step, being a leader, is making sure that she spreads her ideas and her programs around the state first and then around the country. Because if they are helping, like she said, drug overdoses were down 40%, and then deaths from overdose were down 50%. Like, that's an insane number. So I think that she could really do a lot of good, especially if she keeps spreading her ideas and her programs all over the state and country. It did give me hope, which I wasn't really expecting. I thought she was going to talk about like the grim nature of the opioid crisis, but I really do think that it was enlightening and it was interesting, and I'm glad that people like that have the initiative to do that kind of thing instead of just assuming that it's hopeless. So I really admire her ability to recognize the problem and think about solutions to the problem that people weren't already implementing and seeing if that worked instead. I think that took a lot of guts because if it hadn't worked, she would have gotten criticism. But I really, really admire the fact that she just did it just to see if it would work and that it did. That's really awesome. And I really enjoyed her TED Talk. I would watch more of them if she had them. But yeah, I think that's the kind of leadership we need to deal with such a widespread epidemic. And I think that hopefully it'll continue to grow in this country.